Hello, hello, beautiful NFA Money Mamas. It's time for another episode of the Woman Entrepreneur Podcast. Today we have a BIZ breakdown session with a really awesome natural healing coach who works with tapping and essential oils. And we're going to hear a lot more. We met on Instagram and it was really fun because I saw essential oils in her bio on Instagram and I was like, oh my God, I've used essential oils for I think it's 25 years now. And something I didn't share with her is that I've used them with my kids and myself. And until, this last month, my 2 out of 3 of my kids had never had antibiotics. And so, I've used essential oils in really beautiful ways. Tapping is something I play with. And so she's going to bring us a ton of her expert tips, talk about her business development. And as you know, these sessions are always about you highlighting your and also getting some tips on how to scale because, hey, we all want to scale our businesses more easily. So I'm so excited to have Christy Chadwick on the show today. She is the founder of Inward Motion. Thanks for coming on, Christy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Awesome.
Yeah. Woo-hoo. Okay, first, I just want to know, how long have you been into essential oils?
Yeah, I think I've been a dabbler of essential oils for at least 7 years.
Nice.
But I didn't start the business until about 3 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so 3 years. And so it's so fun, isn't it? It's such a powerful medicinal, natural medicine, let's say.
It is, absolutely. And I think the point about antibiotics, right, is I tried not having antibiotics for a long time, for 10 years, and I kept kind of trickling back to it. But as soon as I had these tools of essential oils in my arsenal, I haven't had to have any antibiotics, and it's great.
It's amazing that and what people do and don't know about those things. And I want to give the disclaimer to everyone here: we're not giving medical advice. We're just sharing our health tips. And so, yeah, we're gonna have a really fun conversation about that. I like to start with this thinking about magic wand. I love this concept of being the creator of your reality in manifestation and how you choose to design your business. And so I always like to ask, if I could give you a magic wand, then what would you create in 2023 in your business? Inward Motion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have several goals that I have coming up. It's a new year here, so I'm looking at this whole year of all the things that I can do. And one thing that I really want to get going with Inward Motion is just more education pieces. So whether that's through my podcast or through the blog or through my private podcast, and just really creating this brand of going inward to bring in that inner knowing. I also have started a merchandise store for t-shirts and things that talk about inward motion. So it's that physical reminder of pausing and focusing on yourself. So kind of those as products and those as services. And then also just increasing my essential oil company, being able to grow this network marketing that I have going of my team and my business partners, and kind of expanding that service awareness idea of how can we serve people through digestive support, sleep, balance, mood. I'm big on mental health, so how can we support people's mental health and emotions with these essential oils? So those kinds of things are what I'm looking at for Inward Motion.
Okay, wonderful. I want to dig here. Will you share why you care about these things? I always know there's a story behind why we decide to do what we do in the world. So why does this matter to you?
I think a lot of it started when I was in 4 car accidents in my early 20s. And I was kind of at a loss for what I could do for my body. And I didn't understand, I didn't want a lot of the medical stuff that was going on. I didn't want to do cortisone shots and all of these things to kind of get into my body. And so I learned a lot about this mind-body connection that we have. And I learned about how the body stores emotional stories. And I learned about how we can really heal our bodies through natural supports, whether that's even just moving the body and exercising, with diet and nutrition and the things that we put in our bodies, and also with essential oils, right? So what kind of plant medicine can we use to get back to the nature of our bodies? And so I'm very passionate about that yogic practices of mindfulness and looking at how the body can heal itself. So essential oils is just one of those tools that goes really well with that.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. So was it after those car accidents that you ran into somebody that knew about essential oils, or did you seek it out?
I think actually it started with energy healing and reflexology, essentially, like right at first in the 15 years ago, and then I think essential oils came a little bit later, but it aligns with all of those practices of Reiki and reflexology and yoga for me, where it's just part of my daily routine and my everyday life, and it's just like this kind of tangible tool that I can use all the time. And yeah, it was introduced through friends primarily and people around me who were using them. And I learned about doTERRA specifically from a neighbor of mine, and learned about their impact, so their sourcing and their ability to sustainably get essential oils. So that's what really got me going with it.
I love that. That's so amazing. Yeah, I think for everyone listening, including you, Christy, it's like when we dig into our why, it's how we stay connected to the joy of building our businesses, because, there are a lot of different things to do when you build a business. And so it's always getting back to that why, and remembering how important it is to make an impact, especially, and you didn't say this, but I know that people get stuck in this fear of sales. And when you go back to the caring part, you realize it's just sharing. There's no such thing as selling, I think of selling as caring, where you go, hey, I've had this health and healing transformation using essential oils. So it becomes very easy to share it with people, because it's not like, hey, I'm trying to get you to buy something from me. It's that, hey, I care about your health and I have a solution. Is this the right potential solution for you? Let's check it out and see. So there's that aspect of it. And then, of course, in a network marketing model, there's also the aspect of like, oh, I also have a home-based business that's has proven products, long track record, and here, now come and join me on this fun journey too. So it's a great model. I love that. Okay. So when you were saying magic wand style, that you would create more education pieces and really, it sounds like strengthen your brand identity around having that inner knowing. I love that word. You said something so powerful as well. You said the body stores emotional stories. The body stores emotional stories. So you're helping people unlock those emotional stories. And transform emotional stories. I think of that a lot in money ways, right? The body stores our emotional stories about money. Our body stores emotional stories about health and well-being. And so it's really important to play with that and bring it to the conscious awareness so that you can decide to reframe it and then reprogram to get different results. So that's really awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Will you share any stuck points you're experiencing, things that you feel like, oh, I wish I had this solution to grow my business more effectively?
Yeah, I am feeling stuck right now on, I think, increasing my customer base, right? And growing the clients. So for a while, it felt like the hiccup was the actual like closing piece, right? Like I can market, I can talk about it, I can get on social media, and I can do the actual like running of my company, and I can do the work, that the coaching, right? And all those pieces that go with it. But there's like this middle point that is like the bridge to all of that I can't quite figure out. And it's a little bit the sales point, and it's also like the maybe it's the why, or maybe it's the what is it for them, or what is the value here. So it's like the stuck point is I can see all of the things, but it's now like, how do I communicate the actual value that's coming from this?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Will you share currently how you do it? Like, what's the process that you walk through, and where do you notice the stuck points? And this is awesome for everyone, because I hear people having this all the time. And, it's where in my business, I do the same thing, where I'll notice a bottleneck and you go, oh, this is my stuck point. And then you got to start assessing, like, okay, is it in my mind? Is it something I've had it before where it's a broken link on my website. Like, you've really got to just sit and reflect and pick that apart a little bit. So where do you notice right now in your flow? Like, walk us through your flow, and so we can see any stuck points that can come to light.
Yeah, I think the flow right now is basically one-on-one conversations. That's like the typical way I am drawn to highlight what I do and be able to share with people. If I do one on many, I feel like there's like a lost in translation type of thing, or just not the, maybe, I don't want to say pressure, but there's just not the drive to actually take the step to purchase or to enroll or to, do what they need to do to actually work with me. I think that, my email marketing is pretty good. Like, I have a pretty good open rate, but there's just not the click rate. There's like this hesitation, and I do think of like the energy behind it. What is happening within me that is creating this hesitation? Is there like a lack of belief in what I'm doing, or a lack of awareness about it all that is creating this hesitation around taking that step for my customers?
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. And currently, when you're attracting people to your business to do the email marketing, first, what do you do there to attract them your way? What's your lead gen strategy? Do you have anything that's working? It's okay if you don't, because lots of people don't. So do you have anything that feels like it's working well?
I have a couple things that I've tried. One is an audio meditation, and another is like a PDF how to start tapping infographic. And I've gotten a couple signups through those things. I probably don't talk about them enough. That's probably one of the stopping points there. I can see that. Yeah. And I'm not sure that it necessarily connects with everything that I'm doing. So it'd be like have a lead gen that actually highlights everything, or actually answers the pain point that is coming up for my ideal person. That's probably where I need to target a little bit more.
Yeah. You bring up great points. So, always think about this. We want to know exactly it's the scattered brand identity, right? Versus the very clear focused brand identity. So if whoever's listening, if you go back to episode 3, I talk about the business scaling roadmap. So in zone 1, there's a lot of scattered brand identity. And, I think of this often as the imposter manic zone, where we're super excited about our business, but and when I say manic, we're excited, but that imposter part is like, I'm not really sure how to implement the excitement. And I have yet to see someone who doesn't go through this. Then we move into the over deliver and undercharge, which is zone 2. And then we move into valuing ourselves more, which it's really challenging to get to until we have some sort of brand identity. And just like you're saying, I see this a lot with multi-passionate entrepreneurs who are like, oh, I love this and this and this and this. And it's so exciting to get out there. And the issue with it is that it's hard for people to know what you're an expert at and what you're really magnetizing towards. So when we think about money magnetism, it's really important to know that scattered energy leads to scattered results. It's almost like if you imagine, you wake up in the morning and you're like, hey, universe, bring me a whole bunch of people for this. And then you're like putting stuff out there and the universe is like, cool, you told me what you want. I'll start bringing it to you. And then the next morning you're like, but wait, no, I would rather focus on this. And then the universe starts bringing it to you. And then you change your mind every day. And then the universe is like, I'm not really clear what to bring you because you're not clear yet. And I'm saying you in a general, you, not just you, Christy. Everyone here listening resonates. And, it's one of those things that I think is, I want to say, a growth edge for entrepreneurs, because it's so exciting to build a business that you love and to do things you enjoy. If it's not going to turn from hobby to business, we've got to make some clear decisions about the direction we're going so that people can start to identify with us as a specific brand. So the people that I see move the fastest and grow the fastest and attract the most easily are the ones who are like, okay, here's what I do. And usually this is a discovery process that takes a little bit of time. And so, does that resonate?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm a total multi-passionate person where I've been an entrepreneurial mindset for a very long time, most of my life, but it goes between different kinds of things and aspects and depends on the time in my life. And I think it kind of stays in the same vein and it stays within like this Venn diagram. It's just, how do I stick with, like this brand identity of who am I? What do I stand for? Why would you want to work with me? And what can I do for you? Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's play to help you get clearer. What would you say? And it sounds like you actually have a lot of, you have a very overarching zone of genius theme. Will you articulate what that is? Can you? Do you know it so that we can get you clear in brand identity? Because I always like to attach zone of genius and then what you're skilled at doing with what the market will pay for. And that's your sweet spot for building a business. And so it's like, oh, okay. So across your life course, I mean, the multi-businesses that I know you've talked to me about I can see a real common themes. Will you share what those are for you?
Okay. I'm curious to hear what you have to say about the common theme.
Okay, awesome.
But I think I guess I'll share of what I think it might be, and then you can tell me what you see. I know that my zone of excellence is creating, and I'm really good at creating. However, it's just not bringing me in. I'm not a social media graphic designer, right? So my zone of genius is more this aspect of mental health and emotional well-being and one-on-one support. And I love doing like my podcast and offering resources in that way. So I'm really good at finding the tools that are maybe going to be helpful for certain people. And I'm really good at like sorting out this theme of what kind of pain points are happening and maybe what kind of solutions would be helpful for that. As a marriage and family therapist, I definitely bring that aspect into everything that I do of looking at it from a relational standpoint of how do we relate ourselves with ourselves, our intrapersonal, and then the interpersonal with others. So what's going on around us to bring in these influences that are not aligning or not resonating, and what can we do? What would we rather have or want? So those are the aspects that I kind of look at in my broad coaching services.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then add the layer. Do you want to talk a little bit about working with deaf children's families?
Sure. Yeah. So like the other layer is I have a master's in deaf education also. So my passion is in also providing supports and services for children who are deaf and their parents. But my main point is to help families. So help parents, hearing parents of children who are deaf or hard of hearing to work through the grief and process through their emotions that come up with having a child who has a hearing loss. And that kind of looks like doing group support. So bringing in a community of hearing parents who they can then talk to one another because they learn the best from other hearing parents.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So, I mean, in my mind, like huge theme of, you said the word support. I can't even say how many times you said it, right?
I
So
know.
huge
I need a
support
different
theme.
word, but yes,
Yeah. Yeah. You said it's your what word?
I need a different word. I feel like
Need a
support
different word.
is
Okay.
a little overdone, but and
Yeah.
it's so broad, right? So what does
Yeah,
it mean? But
and
yes,
it says a
support.
lot about what you care about, right? And
Mhm.
so, you said helping with mental health, emotional well-being, understanding pain points, and that overarching theme, you can address that with families, so you've got the marriage and family therapist background, then you've also got you said masters in
Deaf
deaf
ed,
ed, okay?
deaf
So
education.
okay. I mean, wow. And, now you're in this healing world with natural healing. And so, like you look at that umbrella theme, there's a lot of support, care, transformation, holding space for people in a really powerful way. All of the things that you're talking about, you're able to hold space for people,
Yeah.
and you said something that stood out to me because and I was going to ask you about it. You said you really enjoy working, you really do well with one-on-one conversations, but that it gets lost in translation when you do one-to-many. We say
Mhm.
why you're saying that. Did you go think that you need to do one-to-many for some reason?
I like the idea of branching out into one-to-many, and I've done some classes through my work with essential oils and doTERRA, and maybe it's because it's mostly online, but it
Mm-hmm.
just feels like it's a little less personal. And I like to be able to break it down a little bit more to each person.
Okay.
And that's really how the sale happens.
Okay. So
Um,
when you say you'd like to branch out to one-to-many, but you don't like it, what makes you think you need to do it?
Probably the fact that I think I need to get multiple people at one time to increase the sales. So I think there's like a misalignment, right? Of like I need
Yeah.
many people to think I can do, 10 in 1 hour versus one in
Yeah.
1 hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone hear
Mhm.
this. It's so important because you can't get what you want doing what you don't want to do, right? You can't get what you want doing what you don't want to do. I use this quote all the time. Abraham Hicks says, it's impossible to have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. I like to say the word miserable journey. So I always say, you can't get a happy ending to a miserable journey, right? And so in entrepreneurship, we often get a lot of advice of like, here's what you should do. Here's what you should do. And, I'm holding my hands up for everyone on YouTube, like just countless number of things that people tell you should do to build your business. And in my mind, the very first most important thing is to be in alignment, because then you're not pushing a rock or like a giant boulder up a mountain. Instead, you're throwing pebbles in the downstream river. And
Mhm.
you're like,
Mhm.
oh, this is easy and fun. And so always play to and especially when you're starting a business, play to your strengths, play to your zone of genius, do what you enjoy the most, because that's going to attract the easiest money and the easiest clients your way. And so, my brain goes for you really quickly to like creating a package, like a program where you help individuals or even couples, because you have that marriage and family therapist background, like helping couples optimize, through inward motion. So it's like,
Mhm.
creating and I don't know what you do already in your one-on-ones. Who are you most inclined and most inspired to attract?
Primarily, I do individual work within like this one-on-one tapping aspect.
Okay.
In my therapy work, I do work with couples,
Okay.
and it tends to be people who are within like a life transition or going through um, kind of an up level, right? Of like, this is where I've been working and the pattern isn't helping me anymore. I need to find a new pattern or need to interrupt that pattern. So then the intervention then comes in of, let's guide you through what's working, what's not working, and how do we get to where you want to be within your career, life, emotional state, relationship, those kinds of things. And sometimes it's the relationship with themselves, and sometimes it's
Yeah.
relationship with others.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And is there a reason that you want to branch out in so many directions? Is that work unfulfilling, or is it that you're not getting enough clients? Will you share a little bit there? Because to me, it sounds like that is something you do enjoy. So will you
Mhm.
share the desire to do more or different things?
Mm. I feel like because my master's in deaf education was my first degree,
Mm-hmm.
and the teaching was not where I wanted to be, and because I have worked for 7 years creating this sort of advocacy and awareness organization here in Hawaii to raise awareness for deaf education services, I feel like there's a part of me that still wants to continue that work within my degree as a marriage and family therapist. And so I focus, and I also think that there's like a niche, right? You're supposed to find a niche. So I was like, well, my niche is definitely working with parents of deaf children. So then kind of focusing in that arena, but that's not where I focus within my essential oil business.
Yeah.
My essential oil business is separate, as well as like the natural healing. Of course, I bring like mindfulness practices into my work in therapy, but it's different than where I would be as a coach or as a using my tapping and tools and mindfulness and healing practices. So this is like where the Venn diagram comes in, I think, to me. It's like I
Yeah.
have these pieces, and then do they fit together, or are they separate, or do I need to say no to one or many of the things, and then
Yeah.
who
What
is it?
let's just ask a simple question for you. What do you want? What do you want? Without anyone telling you what to do, what do you want?
I want to, I love speaking engagements, so I also love to educate through presentations.
Okay.
So that's like the one to many where I like to do the education piece without the selling point, right?
Yeah.
I also really love doing the one-on-one individual and couples work. I like the aspect that comes with the therapeutic work, where we process through the emotions and really get deep into the pain points of where are they struggling, where can they not see, what are their blind points, and what can we work on. And I I do enjoy the idea of like working with hearing parents of deaf children because of my expertise in that area, and I think that I have a lot to offer there. I
Okay.
just feel a little bit of a hesitation, I think, within this like um, not feeling like I can fully be myself in that scenario where I don't necessarily get to bring in my mindfulness and my essential oils as readily as easily.
Okay.
I feel like I have to be more professional in that
Okay.
capacity.
And that doesn't feel as
Um,
good to you.
it doesn't feel as good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it possible for you to just let that part go instead of shoulding yourself to do
Maybe. Yeah,
it?
maybe.
Okay. And I know
Yeah.
when you start thinking, what scares you about letting it go? Because there's some you said you even used the word
Mhm.
hesitation, which is important to notice. What's the
Mhm.
hesitation? What scares you about letting it go?
I think probably the main fact that I have a degree in that, and is it a waste of my time to let it go when I have this degree? And I do see like a lot of potential in that arena, and I think the fear is like I'm letting go of all that I could do over there. I'm letting go of
Yeah. So
the
FOMO.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So I want to remind everyone here. And this is, have you heard of sunk cost fallacy?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so this is exactly what's going on. It happens, oh man, so frequently. Sunk cost fallacy is when you're afraid of letting something go because you've already put so much time, energy, and money into it. Okay, so what the fallacy is here is that what you're focusing on is the loss of something and the fear of missing out on something instead of noticing the benefits that it's brought you to get you where you are now. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say here, a good example would be in my history. I spent 7 years in grad school on track to be a professor. And in the last few years of grad school, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to be a professor anymore. And so I decided to finish my degree because I knew having my doctorate and I loved the research I was doing. So I decided, and I loved teaching. So I'm like, I'll finish. And I know I'm going a different track. And so here's a really useful tip for anyone who's going through this, including you, Christy. And I know a lot of people go through this because I hear it all the time. People lead miserable lives based on staying attached to things that are no longer aligned for them and not realizing that those got you where you are now. And so the reason I love spirals is because they are about evolutionary growth, and evolutionary growth is never a straight line, right? It's a curve. So what happens is like somewhere in the middle is your deaf education degree, right? And all the people you've gotten to work with. And what that's done is helped you to evolve to the next quantum leap of yourself. And that might not be exactly that same thing, but it still helps you expand into who you are now. So everyone listening, what's really powerful to do is write down every single benefit that you received from being in that education program. Okay. So, and I want you to be thinking like the people you got to work with, the skills you learned, the personal inner transformation. I mean, and just keep going and going and going. And what you'll notice is that event, that certificate, that degree, and I'm saying those words for everyone here for the different things that we do, those experiences led you to being able to have the skills and tools to now step even more into your zone of genius, right?
Totally.
So it's really powerful to remember. I always like to tell people that loss is the gain of that which is more aligned. So instead of thinking of it the traditional way of like, oh my God, I lost something and now, oh no, I'm missing out and I'm scared to cut it off. And what if? Instead, we get to go like, oh, the universe is helping me get more and more aligned. And so anytime we have hesitation in doing something, always remember, just like you were saying, it's probably out of alignment. It's a clue to being out of alignment. And so then we get to go, okay, is it because I'm afraid? Is it because it's not in my zone of genius and my being is actually helping me realize that, right? Like your being is telling you, when we listen and take the time to listen, it's like, oh, this is feedback. I don't feel like doing this anymore. And it's okay that I spent all that time and money and energy on it because it actually is still part of me. It's still part of my journey. I just get to do something that's even more aligned now. Does that resonate?
Totally. Yeah. And I can see all the ways I've tried to make it work, right? Like I've tried to align it or tried to like provide services in different ways to see if it fits a little bit better.
Yes.
And yeah, sometimes just like letting it go and not having to put all of that effort and energy into it feels better to me. I can see where I can say, oh, no need to create that sales page. No need to create that email. No need to do all of those things that come with having to get that service going. Yeah.
Yes. You nailed it. When you let go of something that's not aligned, what will happen is a feeling of freedom and expansion. And you'll all of a sudden you feel it's like a weight got dropped, right? And you're like, oh, I don't have to do all that BS anymore that I didn't really want to do at all. And then what happens is it opens the door for a whole bunch of ideas in your zone of genius with the things that are more aligned. And then what happens is the universe goes, oh, I'm clear. I know what you want. Because now you're not sending a confused signal of like, I want this thing, but I should do this thing. And so I'm not sure what to do. Right. And always remember that manifestation, the only reason we don't manifest instantaneously is resistance. And so if you're resisting within yourself, you're causing confusion, which means it's going to take longer to get there. And so anytime something's not happening easy in a flowing way, I always know for myself, I'm like, okay, what am I resisting here? Something is in resistance. And so then it's our job to play and figure it out, to play with our ideas and our thoughts and our feelings and figure it out. And so, remember, feelings are feedback. If you feel kind of dread about something or just like, and procrastination, it's a symptom of a lack of alignment. And so, you detected it for yourself, really. And it's powerful to do. So let's play with, let's come up with a fun AffirMantra for you. I want to think of a fun AffirMantra for you, like about letting go. Let's say I am willing to let go. And let's think for you, I'm willing to let go of what's no longer aligned. It's going to be a little bit of a long one. I'm willing to let go of I'm writing this down so we can repeat it. No longer aligned to Do you want to say, I want you to use your words that I would say to call in my zone of genius, to live in my zone of genius, to design my business from my zone of genius? What feels resonant to you?
One of the latter two, of either feeling the design of being in my zone of genius or living in my zone of genius. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let's see how this one lands, and we'll say it. And I'm sure many people will enjoy this because this is very common. I am willing to let go of what's no longer aligned to design, you could say, my life and business from my zone of genius. I'm willing to let go of what's no longer aligned to design my life and business from my zone of genius. Say it out loud. Let's see how it feels for you.
I'm willing to let go of what's no longer aligned to design my life and business from my zone of genius.
How does that feel?
Yeah. I think even more simplified though too is just to say design my life even.
Perfect. Yes. Say exactly what feels aligned for you. So I'm willing to let go of what's no longer aligned to design my life. Even simpler, you could say, I am willing to design my life from my zone of genius. That would be another one that could be really easy. I'm willing to design my life from my zone of genius. And just keep using that as your compass. Every time you go to do something that's giving you any sense of resistance and hesitation, just go, wait. My commitment to myself is that I'm willing to design my life from my zone of genius. You could add to it or change. I like to change. I call them AffirMantra starter statements. So you could go, I am ready to design my life from my zone of genius. Right. I prefer to design my life, like that kind of thing, right? And then you start to really play with life is short. It really is. And so do exactly what you were brought to this earth to do, because you have so many gifts, clearly, and you really care about people. That is very obvious. So, play in your field of joy and you will attract people so easily, because your brainstorm will just expand and you'll start to, the things you said, work with, right now, what I would say is work with people one-on-one, teach them tapping, teach them, even deaf parents, you could teach these tools. So it's not that you're losing that audience or that niche. It's just, it sounds like the package you're creating. The thing that I think is really important that stood out that you said was that you feel like you can't really be yourself when you're working in a certain context, right? You're not fully yourself. And so find the things that have you feel like you're fully yourself, and that will help you take a step on the way and have the way appear. I love that Rumi said this, and it's such a powerful quote, because we think we need to know A to Z, and all we need to know is A to B. Do what you love, follow that inspiration, keep cutting things off that aren't aligned, and then the ways will appear very, very easily.
Yeah.
How does that all feel for you?
It feels good. My mind is coming in and saying, but the should that is there is, I'm supposed to have an ideal client. I'm supposed to have a niche. Who am I even going to be talking to if I'm going to create this thing? Yeah. Do I have to specifically target somebody?
Yeah. All of those questions make sense. And it's because you've heard it over and over again. Yes, your company will grow faster. Your business will grow faster when you have a really specific avatar. But the truth is, you can't get to that avatar until you let yourself play and discover exactly what it is. And the way to do that is start by taking the steps of cutting off the things cause you hesitation. And what will happen is it'll attract someone, you'll work with them, and then you'll go, oh, I like this element, and this element of it, but I want to tweak this. And then over the course of a period of time, you'll be defining yourself and getting clearer and clearer, and then you'll know. People try to force this in their business because even me, when I started, I thought I was going to be a relationship coach. That's what I started for. And then I started going out in the world and talking to people, and then it turned to entrepreneurs. And then for a while it was couples. I worked with a lot of entrepreneurial couples, and then it was this, and then it just kept evolving and evolving. And now it's a lot clearer. And I'm in year 5 of my business. So it's I think people try to rush this because they're told they should just, let's pick the person out of the hat and you should know exactly what to do. And it doesn't really work that way. You've got to have some experimentation and follow the track of cutting off those things that you don't enjoy. Don't force a business because someone told you it's the moneymaker or, the thing you're supposed to do. Play and have fun. That's the whole point of building a business from your design and your reverse engineer blueprint. You get to decide what you want to do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And I'll say this, of course, there's strategy and there's things that get easier and easier. The very first most important thing is doing what I'm saying right now, because then you can find the resources. When you're clear, the resources come to you very easily. When you're foggy and uncertain, the resources are blocked because you're foggy and uncertain. And so you'll know the next steps to take. I mean, it's funny to say these things, I talk about myself as a money mindset and manifestation business coach, really. And it's like, I can teach you all the strategies, but the first strategy I always teach is this, because once you get that, it just gets so much more fun instead of waking up in the morning and going like, it's almost like, what if this, but this, not sure about this. And then in the morning when you wake up now, you get to go, I know that I want to teach tapping, transformation, inner work. I love essential oils and I love those things. I'm going to look for people who are into that and looking for my help. And then you'll see what comes. Right. And you'll awaken this inner fire. Like tell us, and I know you can do it off the top of your head. Tell us 10 benefits to tapping and essential oils.
Nervous support system, being nervous system support, I guess is how I meant to say, supporting.
Christy, I just lost your voice. Let's see. Wait.
There.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So I heard you dropped off after nervous system support.
Yes. So nervous system support, sleep, nutrition, right? Helping with our gut support, which is our second brain, which then helps with our mental health and our brain focus and our memory. And also just really giving us I really like to look at essential oils as giving me the peace of mind for my health and wellness. So I don't have to, if I have a cold or I'm not feeling well, I could just turn to my essential oils for that immune support. Nice. If I get a cut or a scrape or a rash or a skin irritation or anything going on, I can turn to my oils for that. Pain support, helping with any discomfort in the body, and kind of keeping that out of the stress response system and reducing that. So no more fight, flight, or freeze, just reminding the body that it's safe. And maybe one more would be to just support the body in a non-toxic way, and also the home in a non-toxic way. So not bringing in all the chemicals and all the things that go with our products that are on the shelf, and being able to
boom. Yes. Do you see how that just, and you're like, if I know most people are listening on the podcast, but if you watch on YouTube, Christy is glowing and lighting up as you talk, right? Because that's connected to your joy right now and your inspiration. Play with that. So you said, those just came out very quickly and easily. Nervous system support, sleep, nutrition, gut health. You even went into second brain, right? Which means you know a lot about that. Giving us peace of mind, immune system support, pain relief, reduce stress, non-toxic healthcare. Let's just think for a second who your audience is who would need those things. I'm thinking 100% of humans, right?
Everybody, right? Yeah.
Yes, right? Even animals, actually.
Yes,
so, the sky's the limit. It's you deciding that you get to live in your zone of genius and cut off I'll just say BS that you're not aligned with. And it's weird. I think part of the stuckness is that you're like, but cutting off, it's not BS to those people are in need as well. And you have skills in that area, and it's not your job to help the whole entire planet with every single thing. You get to live in your joy and share from your joy. And that's what will really help you scale more quickly.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. Thanks for that reminder.
You are so welcome. I can't wait to see what you create. I think that, we didn't even dig into essential oil health. I so agree with you. I think they're this is such a beautiful gift to the planet to use essential oils, and tapping as well. Like, wow, people are stressed out. Mm-hmm. People are stressed and they need non-toxic health. They need ways to support themselves. And it doesn't matter if you practice Western medicine, Eastern medicine, holistic medicine, whatever it is, it's a beautiful way to support yourself. And, it's like, I think about the stress we carry in our daily lives. And if you have tools to help people with that, you really, really have a gift. So just want to remind you of that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
Cool.
I know we had a very, I didn't give you as clear of action steps. So I want to make sure after this conversation, what action steps will you take based on what we talked about today?
I know one big thing is I'm going to play more.
Yay. Okay.
So I'm going to play more, use that affirmation and use it with my tapping. I'm going to be saying that to myself of, even though I feel maybe confused and not sure right now, I am willing to design my life from my zone of genius. So that'll be a big one for me.
Yes.
Live with that. Yeah. And drop what really is just fogging up my mind and not working for me right now.
Wonderful. Okay. That's great. And then I promise you the answers will come, the resources will come, the coaches, all the things resource wise that you need, whether it's coaches or an online course or, a new teacher, it'll come. That's where you get to trust the manifestation process when you're aligned. So that's awesome. I love that you're going to play more. I love that so much. Mm-hmm. That's one of my words for the year is playfulness. So that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. It's been such a joy to have you here. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Lots of people are going to benefit because we all get stuck with these things, especially I'd say that sunk cost fallacy piece all the time, because it's scary to let go of something we've put a lot of energy and time and money into. And when you do it, you feel very liberated. So thank you for sharing that, and share with everyone exactly where they can find you before we wrap up today.
Sure. Yeah. So my website is christychadwick.com. And the Instagram that is associated with Inward Motion is at inwardmotion.essentials. And I also have a podcast, Inward Motion.
Yes, that's right. Definitely listen to Christy's podcast. Mm-hmm. Check her out on Instagram. That's where we found each other. She's got really great posts. And go to her website, connect with her. One thing that's really amazing when you're listening to podcasts, this could go for Christy's podcast and the Women Entrepreneur podcast, take a screenshot and share it and blast it out to the people you know. If you're getting tips out of it, then your community probably will too. And it's really helpful. This is how you can support people who are putting their information out in the world to teach you their gems of wisdom and share with you. So, just take a screenshot and then post it on your social media and tag us at inwardmotion.essentials. And my hashtag for Instagram is at NFAmoney. So that's one way that you can give us some win-win exchange for being here. Thanks so much for coming on, Christy. And thank you everyone for being here for another episode. Of course, if you want to come on, go to thewomanentrepreneurpodcast.com and click on BIZ Breakdown Session. There will be a new button there by the time this episode is released. That's for a Zoom party for podcast listeners. I'm going to start doing one show a month where I have 10 listeners on, and we're going to have a cool panel conversation of some sort. You're going to promote your business, and then we're just going to have a cool conversation, and that's going to be one of the episodes every month. And so I think the first few I'm going to limit to 10 people just so that we can get in the flow and hang out together and have a deep connected time. So that will also be, if you go to the womanentrepreneurpodcast.com page, you'll see a link there. It'll say something along the lines of join the party or something like that. You'll see, just click around and you'll find it. All right. Thanks so much. And until next time, I'm sending you hugs and NFA money making high fives.